Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Inner Circle. We have an amazing guest today. Actually, somebody you just found out yesterday, like when we were messaging. When I owned Mission 6, guys, I was looking like outside the box. I wanted CrossFitters that were not like games, regionals, athletes. I wanted influencers. And so we have an influencer with us today that I really think can share authentic experience about how to become an influencer, potentially how to connect with influencers and ultimately grow your brand. So, guys, I'm super excited to welcome and announce Nikki Leonard is joining us. How's it going?
How's it going?
So, everybody on social media might recognize you as Nikki Rika. Where does that name come from?
So, I started Instagram probably like, I want to say 8 or so years ago.
Okay.
When it first came out, like it was just super new. Nobody knew about like influencing or anything like that.
And did you start to influence, or you're just like, I'm gonna get on this platform and post pictures?
Like I'm gonna get on here and I'm just gonna post whatever I want and you know, it was just like my normal life.
Just like it was day-to-day life, social media.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was like this is so cool, like so much better than Facebook,
Yeah.
Just pictures and you can write whatever, but it's not like you have to have like these long
Just, like, you don't have to write like a whole sales page just to have a Facebook post.
Like the picture is worth 1,000 words type of thing.
Love it.
I kind of just was doing it for fun, and I had literally just gotten back from like Costa Rica maybe like the year before.
Nice.
And when I was there, all the local guys were like, kept calling me Rika. They were like, Rika, Rika, Rika. So, and I guess like in their language, it means beautiful.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, it just like kind of stuck with me. And when I like was like trying to think of a social media name, I should have just used my own name because like, that's what it is nowadays. But I, obviously I wasn't thinking like ahead.
Yeah. Well, you didn't know you were going to be monetizing it. You didn't know you were going to have like the whole world following you.
But honestly, like it works out to my benefit because it's funny. Like I'll be walking somewhere and someone will be like, Nikki Riga.
No way. That's so crazy.
Yeah. So it's funny, but yeah, that's how it came about. I just was like, what can my name be? And I just put Nikki Rika, and then
that's cool. That's cool. And so, all right. And so from that point, like 8 years ago, today, I think I looked right before this, 216,000 followers on Instagram, which is probably more than anybody on the site, and maybe more than everybody on the site combined. Because that's a lot of fucking people that are following like your every move.
Yeah.
So, I genuinely have a belief that if you have a big following, it's more people to market to. You can become more successful. So I think everybody that's in here is like, shit, how do I get a bigger market of people to message to? How did that happen? Like, did you one day decide I'm going to grow a big following? Like, was there strategy? Like, walk us through like how that ultimately happened. I know Shreds was a big thing, but maybe we could even get into strategy that you were using at that time as well.
So, the whole thing just like came about because, I got into bodybuilding competitions, and then I was just kind of marketing my shows and stuff through that. And locally, Shreds is from Jersey, and so was I at the time. And that's how they ended up finding me. So then it was kind of Arvin, who was the CEO of Shreds, that was like, we need to like, stick with social media and like post and just do whatever. So like, honestly, like there was no like structure to it at first. It was kind of like post,
So, but it was a frequency game though. Like because I think if I could bring Arvin in here, people would be like, oh my God, I need to learn from him, because he really orchestrated the success of a lot of people on social. I mean, Joey was popular, but Joey's super popular. Like, Paige was okay, and she wasn't Paige. And like, you guys all grew. So, but it was a frequency game.
Yeah. So it was a matter of like continuing posting, just keeping up with it. And then from there, like all the algorithms, which I still honestly don't understand. Like I'm so oblivious to like everything, but I try to keep to like a schedule nowadays where I'm posting at certain times of the day. So
and how are you determining those times?
So basically, not a lot of people have this tool on their Instagram, but if you're an influencer or you have like a certain number of followers, you get this thing in the corner where it gives you analytics of like times that your followers will see your post the most.
Okay. I'm trying to pull up mine as we're speaking right now to see if I had it. Oh, it's a time thing. Oh, wait, no, that's archive. Okay, so I have insights on mine. I think if you switch to a business account, you can actually get insights now. I think it might be available to everybody.
Yes. Okay. So then that's what it is.
Got it.
But so I tend to look at that, but I actually tried to think of like the times that people would most likely be on their phones.
Right.
So most of the time, like when people are getting up ready for work, you know, they're not really looking at their phones, but once they get to work, then it's like, oh, let me pull out my phone. So like 9 a.m. for most people is like a time like around 9 or 10 where they will look at their phones and like go on Instagram or whatever. So so I'll try to post for 9 a.m. California time.
Okay.
So I'll post at like 12 here, and then I'll post again at 3, which would be 12 p.m. here.
Like lunch break.
Yeah, lunch break, and then, you know, later on in the day, if you want to do something like, normally like around like 6, you know, people are in rush hour traffic or something, they're on their phone or whatever, which honestly, you shouldn't be on your phone if you're in rush hour traffic.
But let's be real, it happens. So.
Everyone's on their phones. So.
Yeah. I might be guilty too, so it happens.
Yeah. So it's just like key times that you know people are gonna be on their phones, and then like you know, when they're winding down before bed, I know I do it. I'm always hopping on my phone while I'm in bed,
like trying to go to sleep. You're like, let me see how I can be more entertained and not fall asleep.
It's ridiculous because I'm like, all right, I'm only going to be on here for 5 minutes. And then the next thing I know, it's an hour. And I'm like, why? Why do I do this every night?
Yep. No, definitely. All right. So frequency, timing definitely matters. Obviously, content has to matter to some degree. Yeah. Is there, like, within your structure of timing, are you trying to plan different types of posts? Like I had one guy tell me, he's like, I do a personal one and then like a brand one and then like a video. And I'm like, that just seems so canned, but maybe I'm wrong. Like my social sucks. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah. Which I think is rad. Like, if there's no structure, there's no structure. And I think that's cool. I think a lot of people are looking for tactics that potentially don't exist. Yeah. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes like I'll look at my page and then I'll be like, wow, this is a shit show. Like, what's going on here?
Yep.
There's just so much going on. So like a little bit of structure is good, you know, to have. But I think like a lot of people who are trying to be influencers should be more conscious of like posting of like their daily internet connection is unstable, it said.
Oh, no worries. You're coming through good.
Okay. Like basically like my sister, she's a good example because she really wants to do something with fitness, and she's a CrossFit instructor, and she, you know, wants to get her CrossFit Kit cert and do all this stuff, but like she doesn't really have any like social media influencer type of background. And she posts a lot about her kids or just like random pictures that really like nobody's gonna even give a crap about. Right. So like don't post like random pictures of like dumb stuff people don't care about, you know, like. Right.
Well, so yeah, and I mean I think that's
what you're trying to promote, you know, like and it's funny too because like I'll be like, okay, I would post this on my story, but I wouldn't post this on my actual page.
Yeah. And so story stuff is maybe more personal, like page stuff is more like business, like attracting new people.
Yeah. Right? You don't make business because you want them to see your personality. You want them to see, you know, that you are a human being and you have a life. But when it comes to the story, you can be a little bit more flexible, and you can post like dumb stuff like your food or whatever, like just, it's kind of like filler posts.
Sure.
Like throughout the day, you're just kind of keeping your audience engaged, and a really big thing is like trying to interact with your audience. So like, so if you post something, like don't just leave it at that. Like if people comment back, because that means the world to them. Like you may not think that it does, but it really does. Like and especially like DMs. Like I have like tons of DMs, but I try my hardest to go through all of them. And even if it's been like days or weeks that I haven't responded, like I'll still respond, and people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you responded."
Like, oh my God, my year was made. An influencer responded to me.
Yeah, like people get really excited about it, and it honestly makes me feel good, because these people look up to me. Like I feel like I'm a normal person, but these people look up to me like I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I influence their
life. And I think that's like everybody that's in here that's watching this right now, like we're all coaches. And I think that we all possess a skill set that, like, let's be honest, we live in a world that's obese, right? Obesity rate is on the rise. And so we know nutrition, we know training. We're like, that's second nature. Like, of course we show up and go to the gym every day. Of course we choose a salad over a Big Mac, but that's not second nature to the whole world. Like, the fact that like all the stuff we take for granted, the knowledge that we take for granted, I think we have to start humbling ourselves and realize, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones that are 70 pounds overweight, like they need to hear what you have to say, even if you think it's so remedial. Like, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to nutrition, like I've played around with it, like what I do with my clients and stuff like that. And I macros is a huge thing, counting macros, and I think it's great to like have a specific number.
Yep.
But a lot of people that I've like tried to do that with, they just eat crap.
Yep.
And they're like, well, I'm hitting my macros and I don't know why I'm not seeing results. And I'm like, because you're eating shit.
Yep. And we have that discussion in here, like through and through and through, because like I would say the method, like at the end of the day, quantity is king. Like you have to have the right number of calories, and you should have like the right amount of macros. But if you're doing that and trying to eat pure shit, it's not going to work. And that's exactly like what we teach at our certification is, guys, it's quantity 1, quality like 1A. Like they're literally like this far apart. And, you can't just be loading up on shit. And so I think that I love that you actually go in on the education of quality early. And I think that, again, like just where we're at culturally speaking, like 10 years ago, if they would have talked about like macros were a very good thing because people were finally like, getting away from fish and broccoli all day. But now all of a sudden, as with everything like Western culture, it's gone so far like left that it's just like, well, fuck, if ice cream's okay, let's just have ice cream like only for our macros. And that clearly isn't
fine every once in a while, but there are some people that are influencers that take it to the extreme, that make it seem like they can have it all the time.
Completely agree.
Which makes it seem like the people that are trying to get the body that they have, that they can do that all the time too, right, and look that way, but you can't.
Yeah. So let's touch on that. So I mean, obviously, as an influencer, and as everyone in here, they may not be trying to become an influencer, but let's be honest, as a business owner, you're trying to have influence over the market so that people buy from you. Like, as an influencer, how do you decide what your messaging is? How do you decide like what you're saying or like what you're not saying? Like, how does that work? Oh, I broke up. Sorry about that. My connection's bad because I have 10 million things on my computer. So as an influencer, how are you deciding what your message is or is not? Like how are you deciding, like, obviously you're like, it's just random, like what I put out, but I would think that there's guidelines, like, yes, I'll talk about this. No, I won't talk about this. Like, are you thinking at all or ever from a sales perspective? Is it like personal things? Like, how does that work for you?
I think it's a little bit of both because, obviously people are following for your personality first and foremost, like they like you, they like the way you look,
right?
You want to figure out like how you get that way. And, for me, honestly, like I have to be honest with everybody because like I've told you this before, I just cannot lie. I'm terrible at it. So, I tell everybody what they need to hear, which is it's going to take time.
Yep.
And I've never had like an issue with like being overweight or anything like that, because I literally was like a freak of nature growing up. I was like in every sport, like I've just always been active.
Yep.
Always tried to eat like healthy, like maybe not so much like growing up, like back in the day when everybody had fast food and it was okay, like
Yep.
type of thing, but like I worked out so much that it didn't even matter. Like
Right.
metabolism was like skyrocketing through the roof, and it kind of followed me all throughout my life because I always ate to fuel my body. I never like binge ate or anything like that. I would eat when I was hungry, and that was like pretty much it. But when it comes to like people that are overweight or trying to just lose like that little bit of fat, like in this day and age, everybody wants instant gratification, and that's just not like how it works. So I'm just completely honest with them, and and I always tell them though, like it's gonna take at least 2 weeks for you to get into a routine.
Yep.
And then it's going to take like 4 to 6 weeks for you to see like some sort of progress. But like the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So like I just tell them to keep doing what they're doing. And if they have setbacks, like it's fine. It happens all the time. Like I have setbacks, but try not to make it like go more than a couple days or weeks or whatever.
Right.
In that downward spiral. But I always tell them too, like you don't get a cheat meal until you actually like complete like at least 4 weeks of eating.
Yeah. So you're actually on your diet and you actually do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people
Well,
like,
what about like too the clients that do end up signing up with you, right? And I know like we're beginning to talk about your business, and I'm going to help on that side, but like until this point, the clients that you have pulled in, do you feel like there's I have to imagine they would be more successful with your program because what you're putting out is in line with what your programs are going to entail, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine if you were pushing out like ice cream and donuts and all sorts of like shit, and then all of a sudden they come into your program and you're like, hey, by the way, don't eat that shit, like that they're going to stick around because that's probably the reason they bought. Your marketing is very much congruent.
Any crap on my stories or anything like that.
Right. So staying congruent with like how you actually coach people, I feel like has to be very big part of it. Do you ever talk about what you don't like? For instance, like I tell a lot of our members, and maybe you'll tell me this is wrong, but like there's certain things in the diet industry that I'm really against. One thing being like hyper templated diets, and the other thing being like really shitty coaching. So like not supporting your client. And so like I'm super honest about that because I'm a former anorexic. I've spent thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on coaches, and sometimes I got really shitty coaching. And like at that time, like $800 a month was a ton of money to me. And I was like, here I am spending $800 and you won't even answer my fucking email. Like, fuck you. And so like, I can't imagine, somebody spending their hard-earned money with me and not being able to pay that back. So is there things that you're like, I'll never say that? Or are you like, hey, yeah, like talk about the shit you don't like?
Is like, from the get-go, I'm like, guys, like whatever questions you need to ask me, whatever you want to say, like anything, like spark up a conversation with me. Like I want to hear where you're coming from, like what you're used to. Like I want to know everything, and like I'll send out my check-in emails and stuff like that, and I won't get responses back. And then I'll follow up with them again, be like, hey, like, I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you. I tried to reach out, like, what's going on? And people are just like, most of the time they're like, well, I fell off and I didn't want to waste your time. And I'm like, you're not wasting my time. Like,
that's the one I get all the time. I don't want to waste your time. Really? You pay me. Like, you're not wasting my time.
I'm like, you're not wasting my time at all. And like, if anything, like I love helping people. And I just think it's like, it's so sad how people just like give up on themselves like right away, or they think like because of what they've done that they can't come back from it and that they're going to disappoint me.
Right.
Which like, life is full of disappointments.
Yep. Yep.
So
So cool.
it's not a surprise to me. Like if something happens, like, okay, that doesn't mean like our time here is ended.
Yep.
Like we're still going.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yep.
Like, ask me questions. So, it's funny. I get a lot of that with, cause I'll do, my programs with the meal plan. And then, a lot of people are like, oh, I love the workouts. I love the program, but the meal plan kind of confused me. So I went back to doing what I was doing before. And I'm just like, why? Why did you like reach out to me and ask me questions about it? Like I would have helped you understand, or they think, because the way that I do it is I basically give them like I use the zone diet, Barry's zone diet.
Yep.
I think is like a really great tool, especially for
like for 90% of people if they're beginning. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just so simple, and if they actually take the time to understand it, then they can actually realize that how easy it is. And then
you're actually educating them in the process.
And I'm teaching them what a protein is, what a carb, what a fat is, and what a meal should look like for them. And they're just like, I don't get what a block is. What is a block? And I'm just like, oh my God.
You're like, let's pump the brakes. Let's rewind. Let's start even simpler. But at the end of the day, like you're there to create that connection. And I think that above everything else is super important. Yeah. Okay. So I have to imagine there's a couple hundred coaches in this site. If you were to go to your social media today and say to 216,000 people, hey, you should go sign up for Jason Phillips' coaching program. Like, I'm going to guess I would get a pretty good amount of applications because you have influence. Yeah. So for everybody here, how do we connect with influencers and how can we potentially get them to help us? Because that's a really big thing.
I think it depends on who you're reaching out to.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of really huge influencers out there that, like with my experience being in the industry for so long, a lot of people kind of lose track of what they were initially starting out to do, and then they become so involved in the whole limelight of social media that it completely just throws off their train off the tracks, and they're just
you see a lot of influencers pivot from their original space for sure.
And honestly, like if it's not going to benefit them, then they're not going to be willing to like help someone else,
So what if it's an awesome person like you and they are willing to help? Like what? Because like honestly, it's always like I'm always humbled by the people that will come into the inner circle. Like I was telling you, like we had Jordan, we had Amanda, like we had really good people come in here, and like it's an honor to have you in as well. And it's like the cool people out there. Like I've been really lucky. Like I've just had connections. Like Brittany Taylor introduced us, right? Like I got lucky there, but. Like, Amanda Bucci, Daniel DiPiazza introduced me. Like, I've just been very fortunate, like, about my circle. But how does somebody that's like, hey, I'm just brand new to the game. I've got 800 Instagram followers. I don't have much else to offer outside of like, hey, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Like, I'll help you answer your emails. I will, whatever. Like, what can those people do? Or like, what would your advice to them be that are just getting into the game?
I think it's hard. I mean, like you said, kind of like sticking to like the whole inner circle thing. Like if they're following you, obviously you're talking to people that actually give a crap, right? Yep. So then they should follow those people, and then whoever those people are connected with, if they, you kind of just got to look out for interactions, like multiple interactions at a time. Because most of the time, like, the people that are commenting also on your pictures and stuff like that are people that actually give a crap about you. Like if those are, and if they're influencers, and in this day and age, like a lot of I feel like women power is like
it's a big thing right now.
And I have so many women influencers, more so than guys, my stuff and like help me out. And like just yesterday I helped out this girl, Sarah, and she didn't even ask me, but I just thought it was so cool what she was doing. She's doing like a lady strongman program.
Is that the girl from Strength Camp?
Yeah.
If that works at Elliot Hulse's gym?
Wait, no.
You like from St. Petersburg, Florida?
No, she works at Anvil Gym.
Okay.
I think it's in Louisiana. I'm not really sure, but she's sponsored by Fleo Shorts, and
Okay.
she is one of the only like strong woman girls that I've seen. You know.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah. Anymore out there. I just don't follow them, but she's like an actual like average looking chick, you know, like she's not like super huge like a dude or anything like that. She's really pretty, and I think like that's what sets her apart, because she has like the girl next door look.
Yep.
But she's doing something rad.
Yep.
You know, she's doing strongman. So we just put together this program called Lady Strongman, and she's going to be having an event next month, I believe, at Anvil Gym. And I saw that she posted it, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna like totally shout her out, because this is awesome. And if I would totally go to this, but you know, it's just you want like people like that'll just go out of their way to just like.
Well, like I remember I did an appearance one time with Christmas Abbott, and obviously Christmas is like super hard to get in touch with, right? Like I'm like, no kidding, I'm supposed to have a call with her in 15 minutes. I texted her and I haven't heard back. Like that's just like her level. So and I'm doing her business coaching right now, so that's on her. But like
I just
a sweetheart.
with her this past year. I met her, and then we just kind of like, and same thing though, like we just like talk, chit chat back and forth, but like she's so busy, you know. She's got like so much going on,
so many things. She's pregnant now, like she's got a lot going on, so she you know, it's hard. But like I remember there was a girl that like waited in line for like an hour, and she brought her like 10 craft beers and like something else, right? Out of everybody that waited like 4 hours to meet Christmas Abbott, that was like the one girl who Christmas was like, hey girl, like DM me, like I want to meet up with you. And like I always feel like you got to do something to stand out. Like, you know, when I was up and coming, it was always come with a giving hand. It was like, before I ask you for anything, I'm going to try to do 100 things for you. And like everyone in here knows, like I'm trying to network with Lewis Howes. And so I went to Lewis Howes' book launch, and he's like, man, like it'd be so cool if I would like not have to go home with like those 100 books, and like I would love to get rid of them. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy them from you. And so like I bought 100 books. Like I sent someone to Chicago. I had someone in Chicago buy all like the remaining books of that book launch. And so now like I'm DMing with Lewis all the time. Like at some point I'll cash those chips in, but I'm going to do 10 more things for him before I ask him for anything. So I think that like the commenting thing I think is super unique, because obviously like girls are probably going to be able to connect with you better, because I'm sure that like if dudes are commenting, you're like, okay, great, it's another perv on my page. But like it's like if girls are commenting and it's things that like actually matter, like are those getting through to you? Because like I say that, so for all the females that are in this site, like guys, if you're like, hey, how can I connect with somebody like Nikki? How could I get to Christmas? If you're commenting, like I have to assume you are at least seeing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I look at all my stuff, and definitely, you know, a lot of it is the same. So standing out, doing something to stand out would definitely be, you know, something, but like not asking for something right off the bat, you know, because like people always, like I'll get stuff all the time saying like, hey, you know, I have this business and blah, blah, blah. Like that's how they start out. And I'm just like, bye.
Yeah.
Because it's just a waste. It's not necessarily a waste of my time, and it could actually be an opportunity for me to get better. But just the way that they're like coming across with it, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I normally respond to the people who are actually like telling me, you know, why they like following me, and you know, if I've been an inspiration to them, and this is what they're trying to do. So then they ask me for advice, and I'll give it to them, because I just feel like they're being genuine with me. Like I don't feel like they're trying to sell me anything. I don't feel like they're trying to get something out of me. Like they're trying to get, higher in their, I mean, obviously everybody is trying to in some certain degree, but I think when you kind of keep yourself as like a person and you talk to somebody who is an influencer, like a person, then you get more out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't necessarily put them on a pedestal, but you got to like respect what they're doing. And I think that, I guess at the end of the day, it's always add value, right? Like I really, and I mean the ethos of what I try to preach to everyone in here, and you guys have probably all heard me say this a million times in every other interview, is to add value. Like we had an interview with Ryan Michler, Order of Man, and he talked about how nobody even knew who he was. Then he made a blog post highlighting like the 15 top people in his space. And like all 15 of those people, like Andy Frisella, like reached out to him and was like, hey man, thanks for that. And so like, here's a nobody and he's getting like Andy Frisella. So it's like, guys, any ladies in here, sorry dudes, like you're out of it, but like any ladies in here, like go repost her stuff, like go say thank you, like show her your appreciation. Like honestly, if it were me, I would be like, so I'm sure there's like a contact email or something for you somewhere. I would like make sure that email is getting to you, and I would buy like a $5 Starbucks card and send it. And then I would send a message and be like, I would be like, hey, by the way, right. I would be like, by the way, I sent you a Starbucks gift card. Huge fan. Just want to say thanks for the content you put out. I would literally leave it at that. Like, don't ask for shit. Just go in on like value, and like, that'll work, right? Like that would totally work.
Oh yeah. I'd be like, okay, this person's legit. Okay.
You'd be like this, like, and it would be coming from a girl, right? Like I said, guys, go find a dude to do that with, or like maybe send him like, I don't know, a fucking gift card to guys, send her Starbucks too. But everybody send Starbucks. Literally, like I'm gonna post up your email. Everyone in the inner circle send $5 Starbucks.
I need all the Starbucks.
Dude, everyone knows about my Starbucks addiction. But there you go. Like it's add value. So all right, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm super appreciative, but I kind of just want to like recap. Like number one, it's post frequently, post like relevant content to what you're doing. Like get the erroneous shit out of there. Just because you think it's cool, you have to start thinking about like lighting. So guys, get used to taking better pictures. Like that's a
picture and you're like, this looks like shit, don't post it.
Yeah. And I'm super guilty of that because I just don't care. But like the truth is, like I have 12,000 followers just because like I've been on Instagram probably from day one, and people feel bad for me. But like so post relevant content, like not shit that's not on your stuff. If you want to post that, put it in your story, keep people engaged, let them get to know you that way. Number two, stay true to who you are. Like even as you grow influence, I think it becomes more important to stay true to who you are, because what you're selling is going to be a proxy of what you're putting out. So if you're putting out stuff that's not congruent with your programs, it's coming back to you, like that's not going to work. Number three, guys, if you want to engage with influencers, go give first. Like don't be the creepy one that just sends the DM, like trying to ask for shit. Just go like send them something or comment. Like it sounds like comment. Gary Vee has like the whole $1.80 strategy. Like go put your 2 cents in everywhere, like 100 times a day.
Yeah, like there are actually people that I've noticed more and more on my Instagram just because they comment under my posts. So then that gets me to actually interact with them. Like I'm like, I try to interact with everybody, but I actually know who that person is now,
Right.
Like, they are someone that stands out to me. Yeah.
So it's like you're building levels of like that engagement. And guys, it's just like a relationship. Like you don't you don't take a girl home and be like we're going all the way on night one, or maybe you do, but like you don't, right? Like you get to know somebody before like you go that far. Like you got to think of it just like that. Like you got to warm somebody up. You got to get to know them. And then it's like, you can ask for more things. Right. So I like that. Like I love the comment strategy, because the truth is there's a lot of influencers that I'm trying to get to, like, and I use that same strategy. There's a guy named Ed Milet. I don't know if you know who he is. Like I really want to connect with Ed. I've commented on his shit like every day. Well, he started commenting back to me now. Like we're getting there. He comments back to me. Soon I'm going to DM him. Maybe I'll send him a Starbucks card. I don't know. But
the DMs right away.
So yeah.
Commenting, and then, when you start feeling out like you got something going with the person.
Yeah, don't slide in the DM on day one. It's not going to work.
No.
So All right, so there's that. And then, guys, just make sure your content is higher quality and stay consistent. Stay patient. How long have you been on Instagram?
Like 8 years.
8 years, guys. I've been coaching 15 years. Like, I didn't build a 7-figure business in a year. She didn't build 215,000 followers on Instagram in a year. Guys, it's day in, day out. Do the work every single day. Go all in. Just be fucking relentless. And, dude, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Where can people find you?
Instagram at Nikki Rica, Nikkirica. I'm also on Twitter, Nikki Rica 5. On Facebook, facebook.com/Nikki Rica. And I just started doing Snapchat again. I fell off for a little bit, but same thing, Nikki Rica for pretty
awesome. So guys, if you want to engage with her, if you want to send her Starbucks, if you want to just model what you're doing after what she's doing, go follow, pay attention. It's clearly yielded a lot of success. And I have the pleasure of saying that you will start to see some amazing programs coming out because I know on the back end what's being built. And so now you're going to watch it go from like influence to a lot of income. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. So guys, that's it for today. We'll see you guys next interview. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.